If you would have told me a year ago that in the year 2023, a new Godzilla movie would be released and it would be one of the best films of the year, I probably would have thrown you down a flight of stairs for saying something so offensively ridiculous. But lo and behold, Godzilla Minus One has been released, and wouldn't you know it, it is one of the best films of the year. But how is that possible? Let's get into it, shall we?
Hold on to your butts.
Godzilla Minus One begins in the year 1945, near the end of World War II. We are introduced to kamikaze pilot Shikishima as he lands his plane on Odo Island, claiming that his plane is malfunctioning. In the middle of the night, an adolescent Godzilla comes ashore, and it's got everyone on the island like,
What the fuck?
Godzilla destroys the base and leaves only two survivors, Shikishima and Takibana. Takibana blames Shishima for the death of his comrades, which is a real dick thing to do.
You're a dick.
Shima returns home to Tokyo only to find out that his parents have been killed from a bombing. And his neighbor also blames the destruction on him, which is a real dick thing to do.
You're a dick.
Shima befriends a woman and a child and agrees to support them, and they live together like one happy family. Years later, Shima gets a job on an ocean minesweeper boat where we meet a colorful cast of characters. Eventually, Godzilla shows up in the city of Ginza and completely decimates it. In response, the government doesn't want to do jack shit, so it's up to a handful of naval members to come up with a plan to stop Godzilla once and for all. So what makes this Godzilla so special? Well, I'd argue that it begins with the characters. The characters in this movie are characters you can empathize with. These are characters that we care about. And this is something that the American Godzilla films just cannot get right. Hey, remember the main character from the 1998 Godzilla? Nick Tapapapalapa Hippopotamus?
It's the Topolis.
It's weird how a movie can be memorable when you just have well-written characters. Shima is a layered character that has demons, and we understand what those demons are. And not only does this film carry on the trend of using the atomic bomb as a theme, it also adds post-traumatic stress, as well as the function of duty to one's country and how far you would go to fulfill that duty. These themes weigh heavy on Shima, and we watch it grow and grow throughout the course of the film. Then we have his merry band of misfits. This crew was so much fun to watch, and my favorite of the bunch was Albert Einstein. They all have their own personalities and character traits, and it's cool to watch them bounce off one another. Having characters you care about in a Godzilla movie seemed impossible at this point, and yet this film makes it look so easy. I was so caught up in the characters that this movie actually made me cry. I made this fool look like a damn amateur. Now let's talk about the action, because the film has some amazing, amazing action. And one of my favorite set pieces that I've seen this year is actually the boat chase scene in this movie. Somewhere in the middle of the movie, our heroes run into Godzilla in the middle of the ocean. And it turns into a thrilling chase where Godzilla is swimming after them and they have to drop bomb after bomb into the water in order to keep him away. This sequence is so damn good. Even just Godzilla's eyes poking out of the water is just so damn cool. And what makes this scene intense is because our heroes are at a disadvantage. I mean, obviously they're up against Godzilla, but they're not on a battleship. They don't have any firepower, and they're in a damn dinky wooden boat. All of this adds to an exhilarating chase scene and the sequence I think about most when I reflect back on the film. The rest of the action sequences also deliver, whether it's the devastating attack on Ginza or the epic conclusion in the third act. All of the action is intense and actually quite horrifying. And speaking of the third act, how cool was it that the plan to take care of Godzilla had to deal with science?
Love this science shit. This is what you guys do all day?
I was expecting a firepower finale showdown, but instead we got a carefully calculated plan that we got to watch unfold. I don't know about you, but when movies enact a plan for the characters to come up with, and we get a bunch of people in a room discussing the plan, that is my catnip, baby. I love watching characters sitting in a room talking about plans, how they're going to do it, who needs to be when and where, and then you get to watch it unfold. Most of these plans always fail, which is kind of the drama of it all, but it's awesome here. It is so, so good. And how about the look of Godzilla? To me, he looked like a marriage between the old design and the new Hollywood design. And I loved how he got his potbelly back too. I am pro Godzilla potbelly. And the sound design of Godzilla was insane. Every time he would charge up and his like spiky things would jolt out of his back, the sound of energy charging up was like sex to my ears. And there's one thing I think I haven't seen in a long, long time in a Godzilla movie. And that is when Godzilla is marching through the giant lush fields towards the end of the film. Lately, we're so used to seeing Godzilla in like urban areas, but to see him march around the mountainside surrounded by lush green environment was a really cool visual. So, with memorable characters, intense action, deep emotional themes, Godzilla Minus One towers over the other movies in this franchise. Now, I haven't seen the original Godzilla in a long time, so I won't say minus one is the best quite yet, but if it ain't number one, it's most certainly number two. And I'm not even going to include the American versions because, let's be honest, they're pretty unmemorable. So not only is minus one of the best Godzillas ever made, it's also one of the best films of 2023. And who saw that coming? I certainly didn't.